Welcome back to another van life video, and today I want to talk about what happens when the police come a-knocking. This is a fun one. Many van lifers never really even have many encounters with police. I had 2 in 1 week. Very interesting. So apparently at my favorite park, I did the video about Spring Creek Park and the little tour last week. In my favorite park there happens to be a person who lives on the street where the park is who seems to think it's her own private backyard. And apparently is prejudice against vans, because I'm sitting in the van one day and I'm just working. It's early in the morning. I go there in the morning. Sometimes I park in the very last parking spot where I can open my door into some bushes, still have a fair amount of privacy. And I'm sitting here working, and I kind of see under the reflection of my monitor, which is a glossy screen, so it almost behaves like a mirror. I see this person staring at the side of the van for a while. You know, it's a lot of people come in and look at it and be like, hey, that's kind of cool, whatever else. I've had a lot of people come in like, oh, that's really cool, show me around a little bit. That's cool, you know. She's out there, and she's over there apparently walking her bark hound. I think she actually shows me her favorite finger as well. I'm not sure why. I wasn't even actually looking out the window at all. Well, about half an hour later, I'm up there working at the computer, and here in my reflective mirror is a badge. You know, I'm like, whoa. Turn around, he's like, oh, you just working? I said, oh, yeah. He's like, oh, no problem. See you. Sorry to bother you. And very nice police officer. And I said, hey, is there a problem? Any issue with me being here? He says, not at all. He says, no problem. You're using the park. That's what it's here for. Absolutely. And I said, all right. He says, well, somebody called. And it's like, oh, it's probably the lady with the dog, you know. And, you know, I kind of observant enough to tell a little bit about what's going on here. And so he just, you know, whatever, leaves. Doesn't even ask my name or anything, whatever else. And so that's fine. Whatever. There's weirdos out there. Well, about 2 days later, I was on the far end, not even in the park. There's actually, on the far end of the park, about as far away from where I was as you can get, there is a road which goes across, and then there's actually just a little parking cubby over there for people who just want to access the bike path. So I'm actually parked over there in an evening, and apparently Karen with the bark hound walks by again and calls the police again. Same person 2 times in this week. And so they sent 2 police officers this time. I mean, this is getting serious. There's a dude in a van. I mean, wow. And so they come by, and I had everything closed up. I was just resting a little bit, and you get on the back window, you know. So I'm like, I look out the shaders on the black window, and there's a police car sitting there. There's a dude in a police badge. All right. Open up the side door, hop on out, and chat with him for a little bit. And, you know, this guy actually gets your ID and stuff like this. He's gas, and we called the police. I said, you know, is it the same crazy person I called the police last time? He's like, I think it probably was. I'll go and call her and tell her to stop calling. I said, good. Next time she calls the police, I will probably file charges for harassment at this point. It's the same Karen. And a little bit of sleuthing around, I actually know who it is, where the person lives, and their name now, and the name of the dog as well. And actually I was told she's a very nice lady. And so I said, I passed the message through another neighbor that I was talking to, said, hey, next time I'm in the van, tell us going on by and say hi, you know. So we'll see, and I'll update you guys later. Do I actually meet Karen, and is Karen a really nice person or not? Who knows? A couple lessons from this story we can get. The first lesson is this. Just because somebody's in a van doesn't mean they're suspicious. I mean, I'm in and out of parks all the time. I see a lot of people come into a park and hang out in their car for a long time at a time. Are they all hanging out in vans that are built out? Not many. Very few. There's a couple I've seen around town. They're usually not as much in the city parks as out in the kind of more mountainy foothill parks. But at the same time, there are a lot of people. So for you people who are super suspicious-minded, You might, if the door is open, go in and strike up a brief conversation. You can do that and assess if somebody's crazy, or, if you go in the door and there's lots of TNT rolled around and a lot of stuff, and some crazy dude with a cigar hanging out of his mouth going, I'm going to kill all these people. That's obviously a concern to call the police, but just because there's a van in a public park during the daytime when people are allowed to be there does not mean anything illegal is going on. In fact, repeatedly harassing the police and those people is probably what the most illegal thing is going on. Okay, but let's talk about lesson number 2. What happens when the police come and knock on your van? I could be like, get out of here. I'm not bothering anybody, whatever else. And frankly, I had every right to say, no, I don't have any ID with me. Go away. And honestly, I could have done that within my rights. But, there's a guy who wrote a book a long time ago called My Utmost for His Highest by Oswald Chambers, and one of the lessons he wrote in there is anytime somebody stands on their rights usually means they've missed the spirit of the whole matter. That's kind of a paraphrase of what he wrote in there. But you come out and you're very polite. You answer their questions and you engage them in conversation a little bit. They asked you living in the van. I said, well, while I'm in town, I actually have a place to stay, but for the most part, that's what I built it for. And the one officer's checking ID. I struck up a conversation with the other guy, and he's like, yeah, if I had a van like this, I'd be going out west. I said, well, that's where I'm going. As soon as I close up the last little bit of business I have in this town, that's where I'm going. He's like, oh, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Wyoming. I said, I used to live there, and things. And he's like, oh man, so he's asking questions about where and stuff like this, and I show him briefly inside the van, just open up the door so you can kind of see inside and stuff. And it was a very positive interaction. Just because there's a police officer knocking on your van, do not go up there with your guard up. You go up there very, very calm and very patient, and you ask the basic questions. They're just there because they think something is going on that they at least need to ask a couple questions. And if you just go in, answer their brief questions, be polite, unless you're doing something wrong, they're just going to leave right away. They may or may not take your ID. They may or may not. In this case, he asked for a phone number. He said it's simply in case somebody calls, I can call you myself and see if it's you. And okay, I've already checked this guy out. And I, gave him one of the phone numbers to get a hold of me at. So, and I felt fine and justified in doing that. There was nothing threatening going on. Are they up there with a stingray tracking my every location? Probably not, but maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Good luck when I leave your county in about a week, But that's kind of the thing. When they come knocking, you don't want to be rude. You don't want to be confrontational. You just want to sit back and you want to answer their questions. Know your rights, certainly. You don't necessarily have to let them search the whole thing unless they have a reason. If you're out there smoking pot or something, yeah, you've given them just cause. Don't be doing stuff like that. But if you're just sitting there and you open up the door quickly on them, you chat with them, you engage with them, you're certainly non-threatening, they are going to leave you alone in very short order. And so that's kind of my point, my lesson. And to all you Karens out there, stop being Karens. If you have a concern about somebody in a van, maybe strike up a conversation, or maybe just realize people are allowed to sit in public parks. Just a thought. But that's my experience. I've only had really one negative issue in all of them, and it was the same park and the same person. It just happened to be twice because apparently I was in Karen's backyard, aka the public park that my taxes pay for. Anyway, that's what I want to leave you guys with today. Very fun thing. Let me know in the comments down there if you had any fun interactions, any other specific questions, or what part of the van build you'd like me to focus in on and do a little bit more detail on in the future. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you down the road.